Like so many classic Marvel characters, Doctor Strange made his debut in the 1960s. Although he has appeared in literally thousands of comics, few people outside of Marvel comic readers know much about the enigmatic Sorcerer Supreme. Doctor Strange made his debut in issue 110 of Strange Tales, an anthology comic where he was introduced as a master of black magic. Interestingly, he is presented as, and this is a direct quote, a different kind of superhero. Though magic and mysticism were fairly common in pre-World War II Golden Age comics, the post-1950s Silver Age comics reflected their times and had a much stronger emphasis on science and technology. Strange was the counter to that, and would eventually become the key magical character in the Marvel Universe. Since Doctor Strange made his debut in an anthology, his first comics are only about 5 pages each, and really tell us absolutely nothing about him. We know that he's a master of black magic, and a disciple of some guy in, quote, the remote vastness of Asia, quote, who is only known as the Master. These early comics are great. They're so short that Stan Lee has basically no room to tell any kind of story. Strange fights various mystic baddies like Baron Mordo and Nightmare with only the most bare-bones reasons given for the fights. Often, Mordo is attacking just because he hates Strange. There is no second part to the plan. It's not until 4 stories in that we get an origin story for Doctor Strange in response to a flood of letters from fans requesting more information about this new mystic hero. We learn that Doctor Strange is in fact a medical doctor. To be precise, he's a neurosurgeon. Not only is he a neurosurgeon, he is one of the greatest surgeons on the face of the earth. Unfortunately, he's also one of the biggest jerks on the face of the earth. He couldn't care less about his patients. All he's worried about is whether or not they can pay their bills. One night, Strange gets into a pretty bad car accident. His medical colleagues save his life, but his hands are damaged to the point where he can now barely use them, meaning he can never perform surgery again. Strange's incredible pride prevents him from accepting any position other than chief surgeon, so he sets out to find a cure, spending his entire fortune on experimental medical procedures and outright quacks. Finally, broke and desperate, his searching brings him to the mountains of Tibet, where he is introduced to the Master, who was later renamed as the Ancient One. The Master sees the magical potential in Strange and is able to awaken Strange to the mystical realities of the world. Strange's final test comes in the form of overcoming the sorceress attack of the Master's other student, Mordo. This rivalry only grows as Baron Mordo will go on to become Doctor Strange's most persistent foe. As I mentioned at the start, Doctor Strange has appeared in over 3,000 Marvel comics, so it's pretty hard to give a rundown of the major story arcs he's involved with. But they make for some pretty interesting reads, and they've always had a very different tone than most of Marvel's ongoing series. For example, one of my favorite Doctor Strange stories appears in issues 10 to 13 of Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts. In this story, the entire Earth gets destroyed, and then recreated and replaced with an exact duplicate. And this is all part of Baron Mordo's fight with the personification of the concept of eternity. You're not going to see that in a Captain America comic. Baron Mordo is far from Strange's only archvillain. He's had numerous battles with Dormammu, the magical ruler of the Dark Dimension, Nightmare, an evil entity who haunts the world of dreams, and he's had many battles with Nightmare's master, Shuma-Gorath. Shuma-Gorath is one of the Old Ones, a race of evil beings of immense power who exist outside of space and time, and they used to rule the world before they were all kicked out of the universe a few thousand years ago. It's important not to confuse these with the Great Old Ones found in many of H.P. Lovecraft's stories, which are completely different ancient entities from outside space and time that we didn't copy at all, so why don't you just shut up and read the comics. Recently, Strange has been a member of a group known as the Illuminati. This group includes several luminaries in the Marvel Universe, including Tony Stark, Reed Richards, and Professor X. Basically, they're trying to keep the world safe from really big threats, but acting behind the scenes to do it. This is the group that was responsible for sending the Hulk into space, which kicked off the whole World War Hulk story that we'll probably cover in another video in the future. They were also directly responsible for the secret invasion by the Skrull Empire that dominated nearly every Marvel comic in the second half of 2008 because they were screwing around on the Skrull homeworld. Oops. The main reason Doctor Strange appears in so many comics is that he's basically the magic guy in the Marvel Universe. DC has a long tradition of magical heroes and titles, many of which date back to the much more magic-friendly Golden Age of comics. When a Marvel superhero like Iron Man or Spider-Man has to deal with a ghost or a zombie octopus or whatever, there's really only one number in their address book: Dr. Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. Of course, as the go-to magical consultant in the Marvel Universe, Doctor Strange hasn't just appeared in thousands and thousands of comics, he's also appeared in nearly every single Marvel cartoon, including Spider-Man, Spider-Man His Amazing Friends, Ultimate Spider-Man, X-Men, The Incredible Hulk, The Superhero Squad Show, Hulk and the Agents of Smash, and Avengers Assemble. He also has his very own animated movie that came out in 2007 called Doctor Strange the Sorcerer Supreme, and it's kind of okay, I guess, if you like it. I've seen worse. And not only that, Strange has something very unique among Marvel heroes, his own made-for-TV live-action movie that aired in 1978. It features demons, evil sorceresses from the fourth dimension, and casual racism embodied by Strange's Asian manservant Wong. It's hard to believe it was never turned into an ongoing series. Stephen Strange has always been an introspective and conflicted character. Many of his stories involve inner journeys of self-discovery or adventures through the dimensions of the mind. He's seen the entire universe be destroyed and created more than once, and has had to face some pretty tough choices. Famously, Strange killed his friend and teacher, the Ancient One, when Shumagorath, remember him, was attempting to use the mind of the Ancient One as a doorway into our reality. Strange was forced to choose between the life of his master and friend and the fate of the entire world. Despite the fact that the Ancient One himself, who now shows up from time to time in a ghostly Obi-Wan mentor kind of way, told Strange that he did the right thing in choosing to kill him, Strange felt so guilty he gave up being the Sorcerer Supreme, something else he's done more than once. Of course, Strange is forced back into the job when the new guy, whose name is Dr. Voodoo, can't cut it. Which is a lucky break for us, because Dr. Voodoo looks nothing like a handsome, brooding Sherlock Holmes, and we wouldn't have been able to cast Benedict Cumberbatch for the upcoming movie. And if there's one thing this world needs, it's more Benedict Cumberbatch on the movie screen.
If you need a little more magic in your life, click on one of the faces for more comic origins of the characters from Marvel's Doctor Strange. Learn all about them now, because you can't say it was better in the comics if you don't know what happened in the comics. Any characters you'd like to see us cover? Let us know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to the Fractal channel to get all the backgrounds and origins from characters for all the upcoming DC and Marvel movies and series.